Hi, good morning. We're here with Stephen Gibson from Acoustic Pixel in Harrogate. How you doing, Stephen?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Mike.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. So, if you'd like to start us off by telling us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for, please.
Yeah, so my name's Stephen Gibson. The company is Acoustic Pixel, and we're an audio-visual company. So we've got two arms really to what we offer. We offer a residential service, which is, I guess, the exciting stuff. Things like home cinema rooms, smart home installations, sound systems, all of that kind of thing. And a commercial offering as well, where we work with businesses to develop their audio-visual. So things like boardroom setups, PA systems, CCTV, pretty much things that are going to help them to communicate really and collaborate. So it could be in a retail setting, it might be digital signage. In a corporate setting, it's more kind of video conferencing, that kind of thing. So yeah, wide range of different things. And yeah, we've been trading since 2017. My background is as a small business consultant, so I work with lots of small businesses, and I kind of fell into the audiovisual industry with a client of mine, and we helped him kind of like to exit the business, and we moved the business. An opportunity kind of like came for me and my now business partner Simon, who's the technical brains behind kind of Acoustic Pixel, to deliver our own. So yeah, that was in 2017.
Brilliant. So what makes you different, would you say, from other people in the same sector? What makes you sort of stand out from the rest?
Yeah, well, I think kind of just as I was kind of like touching on there, we've got the two kind of business owners, two directors, myself and Simon, two very different skill sets. My background's in kind of like business, in marketing, in business development, customer service, where Simon is, and I kind of completed my MBA and have probably come from a very, as I said, a very commercial background, whereas Simon comes from a very technical background. So he's educated to master's level in audio and sound reproduction.
Got a nice mix going on there.
But absolutely, and we've got very different skill sets. So we've got very kind of marked areas of kind of expertise, and I've got kind of certain things that we've got to do on the business side of it, from a financial and from a management perspective, whereas Simon's got the whole delivery side, that kind of being able to deliver something for a customer. I think the thing that makes it different is that a lot of businesses in our industry just approach it from a technical side. So people who've got a technical background end up running a business. And I personally believe that kind of it's not always kind of the best technician makes the best business, because that whole handling customer relationships and everything like that goes on around it. Yeah, there's certain kind of soft skills and certain skills that are quite difficult to kind of like to house within one person.
Yes, to have a good blend. I think you definitely hit the nail on the head in terms of it's kind of that technician, the doing of the business, but then you definitely need actually running the business, working on the business, and bringing that aspect into the business in order to deliver that technical side of stuff. To be there. Thank you for that share. So what's your business journey been like to date since 2017? Has it been a roller coaster, a lot of people describe it as, or has it been kind of slow growth, fast growth? What's it been like for you guys?
Yeah, I think kind of because I know kind of a business, from a business planning perspective, we sat down before we started, put a 3-year plan together. So we did spend quite a bit of time kind of like looking at that. And yes, kind of best laid plans are not always that I think what is the phrase, they kind of don't withstand the first punch. I think Mike Tyson said that people have a plan to fight him, but once he punches it in the face, plans go out of the window. When we kind of like look back over the first 3 years that we projected, and bizarrely kind of like years 2 and 3, even accounting for the pandemic, which we kind of like ran into, were pretty much kind of like on point of what we would kind of expect in terms of growth. So yes, don't get me wrong, there's been lots of challenges within that, the pandemic being one, and But that kind of like growth trajectory that we were hoping for and kind of like expecting has been pretty smooth. So yeah, day to day, lots of challenges.
Yeah.
But when you kind of look at it and you're able to take a step back and look at kind of where we've got to now, it's been relatively smooth.
Great. So you mentioned challenges there. What does the future look like for you for the next, say, 3 years? And what do you see as the main challenges are in achieving that kind of opportunity that you see?
Yeah, well, absolutely. From an opportunity point of view, the pandemic has certainly created a lot of opportunity
Mm-hmm.
in our residential business. The whole idea of having a home as an entertainment space has just changed hugely since the pandemic. When people were stuck at home, how they get the most out of their garden, how they get the most out of their kitchen, how they get the most out of their entertainment changed hugely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's created significant opportunity, which is great. On the commercial side, again, working from home and the way that businesses communicate with their staff has opened up a massive opportunity in terms of video conferencing, conference facilities within a business. So that's all great. How do we try to achieve that? Well, we're just about to open up some dedicated premises, which will actually be up a little bit further north in Middlesbrough, which will have it'll have a facility for our guys to be able to build AV racks, to build smart panels, etc. Offsite. It'll give us the capacity to be able to take on a lot more work, a lot more storage facility as well, which will be great. We'll also have demo facilities as well. At the moment, we've got a demo facility in Harrogate for our residential side, and we've got one in Brighouse as well, where people can come and experience them home cinema systems and smart home systems. We'll also have within our new premises a commercial space where businesses can come and experience kind of video conferencing setups and various different things as well. So that's kind of a big jump forward for us. It's going to give us the capacity and hopefully the tools that are going to allow us to achieve within the opportunity space that we see.
Sounds exciting. Is there anything that kind of on the challenge level for you guys that's going to stand out to achieve that?
Yeah, well, I think kind of
that growth, I suppose.
Well, yeah, definitely. Within kind of like growth comes probably the biggest challenge that we have, and I think a lot of businesses do have at the moment. It's finding and training and developing the right staff. Our industry requires certain skill sets. Some crossover skills from kind of electrical trades and things like that are there, and from IT. But in the audiovisual sector, there's not really a kind of like a natural career path. You don't study audiovisual installation at school. There is now an apprenticeship, which one of our younger team members is actually on. He's on the first ever apprenticeship program for smart home technicians, but there's not really kind of like a plethora of people out there where we can kind of pick them and to say, okay, yep, come and join the team. That's going to be our biggest challenge, and that upskilling and training of the person is definitely going to be the biggest challenge in terms of achieving what we want to do.
Thank you for that share. So moving on to yourself as a business owner then, and guiding us with your biggest lesson to date, the biggest learning that you've had since being in business. What would that be if you could pick one?
I think it's probably a personal thing. I think it's like a mentality kind of approach. In that it's so difficult, and you have to keep on. I keep having to kind of like to force myself to do it, but it is to kind of like to pull yourself away from that nitty gritty day to day, and really kind of thinking about that bigger picture. Have a real kind of vision of what it is that you are wanting to achieve a year or two down the line, and if you're kind of like moving towards that, you're then kind of like drawing back to the activities that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and just assessing, are these activities actually moving me towards that goal? Is that problem that I've spent all day on, is that going to be a genuine problem that's going to have impacted the business in 18 months' time? or is it just going to be noise? And I
Yeah.
think that the biggest thing that I've kind of like learned to do is to try to filter out some of that day-to-day noise and try to focus on kind of what is actually important. And there's a book that I read about kind of taking on these kind of things and not letting them fester, because like it was something about eat your frog, or eat that big frog, or something.
Yeah.
And I kind of like got a lot from that, about these things that were kind of like festering and things, and we don't have to do this, we don't have to do that, but they ended up taking up like a lot of my time. But by being able to deal with them in the first couple of hours of every day, these kind of like challenges, it just freed me up in terms of like just productivity. So yeah, that's probably the biggest
the lesson. There's another book as well. It's I suppose similar, taking on what you've just said there, The One Thing by Gary Keller as well, focusing on what is it that you need to spend most of your time doing. What's that one thing in order to achieve that someday goal, the 5-year goal, the 4-year goal, the 3-year goal, and then bring it down to that one thing on a daily basis where you need to be spent doing that, and everything else goes by the side.
It's so true. And I think if we're kind of like boiling them down, for us, there's kind of like my day job primarily. Our primary function in the business is kind of on the sales and marketing side. But as I've kind of alluded to, the biggest thing that's going to unlock growth, yes, winning the work, but having the team available to be able to action that and to deliver it to a certain level. And that's that investment in people, in training, in hiring the right kind of people. So that's probably just a learning point for me, actually, from this conversation, is to really focus on that as well. So
okay, fantastic, thank you for that. So what was the best piece of advice you could give to someone just starting out in business? It may be reflective of what we've just talked about, but or yourself just starting out, in hindsight, you'd say, do you know what, if I could offer one piece of advice, what would that be?
It probably sounds fairly trite, but it's generally about believing. You've got to actually believe that you're able to kind of like to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. Yes, you've got to have like a vision, but without that kind of like that belief that you can achieve it, it's really difficult to. You have lots of knockbacks. You'll have you win your first customer, and it's like, wow, this is brilliant. People want to buy from me. It's fantastic. But people will say no to you, and it's not necessarily that you're rubbish or anything like that. It's they've had a better offer, or there's a better fit for them, and that's absolutely fine. And similarly, you're gonna have members of staff that are going to leave, and again, it's often not a personal thing. It's just being able to detach from that. And I think the one thing that keeps that in kind of like context for me is that kind of like belief that I can kind of achieve it, that the business can grow. And people might say, oh, that's just optimism, and do you believe in fairies and things like that? It's not really about that. It's just I genuinely am quite a positive person, and I do think that things will work out. And I generally think if you have that kind of mindset, you're just more. I believe that I'm kind of more open to opportunity if I'm personally in that space where, I believe that we can achieve that. It's just a mindset.
You'll find a way to make it work, and having that belief rather than finding a way to make it fail.
Yeah, and I'm not kind of a person who's going to sit here and think I know all the answers, because I know that I don't, but I kind of do believe that I will get there, if you like.
So you'll find the answers. The answers will be there by keeping on going and keeping believing. Yeah, definitely.
Did Rocky say something along the same lines? It's not how hard you can hit; it's how hard you can be hit, but keep on moving forward, or something.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good piece of advice. Thank you. So, what inspires you to do what you do? Again, it's leading on possibly from what we're talking about, but it might be friends, family, the customers, the team that you work with, anything that you read. Obviously, you mentioned eating a frog. any other inspiration, or what inspires you to do what you do?
Yeah, I think kind of like in the background you might have heard one or two kind of like mutterings.
Yeah.
Baby daughter, who's just literally this morning learned how to walk up the stairs.
Oh wow. Good
but,
age.
oh, absolutely. So all of the little things that kind of like that she does on a daily basis kind of like inspire me, and having that kind of being able to provide like for her and that kind of thing. I think kind of like on a personal level, probably in my kind of like late teens, early 20s, I had quite a few kind of like mental health issues in terms of depression, anxiety, and I found a lot of kind of like reading and kind of like self-development and things, and ultimately I kind of like I almost like want to achieve based on the things that I think that I probably missed out on and lost in that kind of like early 20s and kind of like late teens and things. That's kind of like quite a big kind of like driver as well. There's definitely kind of like a push that came from that. So they're probably the two things: family and that kind of like background with kind of like depression, anxiety.
Brilliant. So it's almost like a personal achievement to say that you know,
Yeah.
This is possible.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of in a very small way, but yeah. I'd love in the future to be able to talk a little bit about that, and to speak to kids, or to speak to people who have kind of like really struggled for that a period of time, and a lot of people who have struggled far worse than I have. But yeah, just to kind of say, okay, you can kind of like come through that, and that's kind of like a big thing for me.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So then lastly, what, in terms of latest news, is there around Acoustic Pixel, or even if it's just a website that we can go to find out a bit more? Feel free to let us know to share that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, obviously the big news, we're about to move into new premises, etc., which is great. So hopefully fit out and ready for people to come and kind of like visit and see the kind of things that we do. So that's up in Middlesbrough in the next 2 or 3 months. So yeah, hopefully around May time. Website, absolutely, acousticpixel.co.uk, and we've regularly got things on our socials in terms of nice cinema room projects and various things like that as well. So there's all sorts going on. So
nice.
Yeah, we're keeping busy.
Brilliant. Stephen, been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the success for the future.
Thank you very much.